What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the North Shore 9 postgame show, brought to you by Primanti Brothers. I'm Neil. I'm here with Doug. The Pirates drop the very long-awaited matchup between two young pitchers, Paul Skenes, and I'm afraid I'm going to mispronounce his last name, so Doug, I'm going to ask you to help me out here.
Misiorowski.
Yeah, I need to pull a baseball reference, but they drop it 4-2.
What's his first name?
It's just if you lose to Jacob Misiorowski, and I'm pretty sure I got Misiorowski. Cool. Now the Pirates lose another one, and I gotta tell you, Doug, I didn't think this team had it. I don't think this team could have gotten emotion out of me. But yeah, it is. I'm mad again. It's been ages, but I'm mad. And I'll tell you why. It's because, obviously the Pirates are now 32-50. They're 32-49 going into the game. The season has been over, and it has been for a long time. But this was supposed to be a big game. There was an air around it. There was a sold-out Miller Park on a Thursday afternoon. It's Paul Skenes versus Misiorowski, two of the youngest, coolest, most exciting pitchers in baseball. And you would have thought that the Pirates showed up without a care in the world. And it was boring. It was bad. And I can't believe that they got emotion out of me. But here they are. They got me mad on an afternoon and during the summer.
I don't know why. Lack of enthusiasm, lack of urgency, lack of competitiveness has been a hallmark of the Ben Cherington, tenure, right? This team has never, in these 5.5 seasons, this team has never, for 3 full seasons, they were actively trying to lose, right? They were putting lineups out there that would embarrass the AAA team. They, pitching decisions that were just absurdly, bad. Just obvious that, oh, you're pitching quite well, young man. Get out of here. We need to lose this game. That sort of thing. So this, it's the first game of the second half of the season, right? And I know we typically look like at the All-Star break, but they were, like you said, they were 32-49. That's 81 games. I don't think they were going to go 49-32 in the second half, but you'd like to see a little life. Like you said, you've got Paul Skenes pitching. Should be enough to have the whole team fired up. Should be enough to put out your best lineup. Should be enough to show that you're trying to win the game, right? But the Pirates don't do that. The Pirates, no. They just don't. They're not. There's so many reasons, sort of to hate the Pirates. But to me, this is, they've created this losing culture and they're wallowing in it, right? They've made no attempt to say, it's time to win. They say it's time to win, but do nothing that would indicate that it's time to win, and don't put out lineups that would show it's time to win, and don't have a roster, and don't bring up the right players. I wasn't mad until you made me think about it all again, and now I'm mad too.
I've been stewing on it for about an hour now. So
it's what I was expecting all day.
I know it's American Family. I'm not calling it that. It's Miller Park.
It's Miller Park.
It's Miller Park.
It's Heinz Field. It's Miller Park.
I mean,
does Matt work from American Family Field Insurance or whatever?
We'll get to the ad read soon, but man, we as fans, we on the podcast, the people who watch us, we invest hundreds of dollars into this team per year. We spend hundreds of hours every year watching the Pirates play baseball. And we're not even through June, and we have 50 losses, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I am sick of watching this team. Like, it is not fun. It is boring. It's terrible, and like, it is so bad. And again, this is not a dig. I'm not trying to make manager drama. It is so bad that we are celebrating a manager for going 20-24 in 44 games. And to me, that says it all. Where that is the standard, that is the level that this team has gotten to. That is good enough, because this manager goes out and gets ejected, and they're playing at 73 win pace. It's all good. So I'm just tired of it.
Anyway. Yeah. It's funny because the danger is that we become apathetic. That's the real threat to the Pirates.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When we're still yelling and screaming and ranting and raving, okay, we're still engaged. But you're right. I pay a lot more attention to my phone now than I do the Pirates game. I pay attention, to anything else that's going on. They're a boring team. They have no fight. Okay, occasionally they have a big inning or they string some stuff together. But I mean, and again, it comes from the top down, right? Bob said he had a sense of urgency, and they've continued to start Tommy Pham, and I know he's had some hits lately, but that sort of thing, right? I mean, you haven't called up a Nick York. You had just the same old nonsense, right? So you fire the manager, you bring in Donnie Kelly, and again, this is what the whole focus, right? Oh, Donnie's 20-24. Well, that's better than what Shelton was, but that's still not good, right? And what's the other thing we're always talking about? Boy, they hit a lot of balls hard that inning, Yeah, that's kind of baseball. I don't know if you know this, but there's 9 guys on the field, and their job is to prevent the baseball from landing on the grass. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, you a bunch of times, a bunch of players hit it to the warning track and hit it hard to the second baseman and hit it hard back to the pitcher. But guess what? Those are outs. And from what I can tell with the Pirates, that a bunch of hard hits, and a bunch of exit velocity do not translate into hits. Because if they did, O'Neill Cruz would be hitting 300. Brian Hayes would be, hitting 300. I mean, we're all somehow they keep us focused on the, Donnie Kelly's got him playing 500. Oh, great! Just what do we aspire to be in year 6 of the rebuild? It's junk. It's they're packaging it to us, and we're like you said, we're spending the money, buying the gear, going to the games. It is funny now. I used to try to get up to Pittsburgh like 3 times a year, and that now I try to go to more road games. And like, well, at least the money will go to the Orioles.
Yeah. Well, I'm taking, my family takes a trip to Pittsburgh every year, and usually like a contingent of us, me included, always goes to all 3 games. I think this time around I might go to 1, and
yeah,
I'll go enjoy the city with my family. I think that's.
I was in Pittsburgh. I was in Pittsburgh for a week, leading up to the tailgate, and every other time in my life that I've made a trip like that, I've gone to every game. I went to 3. They were all 3 wins, so I'm happy to say that. But yeah, I was like, oh, it's a little cool, it's a little rainy, and the Pirates suck, and they're not trying. I can live with suck if I think that the end goal is to actually win. But I'm having a hard time, combating the people that say they're not even trying to win, because I really believe they are trying to win, and they just suck at that like they suck at everything else. But yeah, it's they certainly make a good case for the not trying to win people.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about the game, and we'll get more into details about that, about why this team is miserable to watch. But first of all, we have to tell you about our friends at BetOnline. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting net platform and your number 1 source for all your sports betting action. With baseball season in full swing, we're deep into the NBA and NHL finals, and BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores. Even live in-game betting while the games are being played. We keep the dog days of summer rolling with the largest selection of odds on everything. With updated odds on MLB, UFC, boxing, tennis, and NFL futures, BetOnline remains the best online source for all your sports wagering info. In between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino with the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here. So, like we mentioned at the top of the show, this is touted as a really big deal which is weird because the Pirates aren't playing for anything. But,
Right.
Paul Skenes, Jacob Misiorowski, and a little damper on at the beginning because Paul Skenes was announced to be on a pitch limit. But you were really going in and expecting like a real pitcher's duel, and that's not really what we got.
Well, we got half of it. We got half of it.
The first inning, Frazier works a walk. Really good day by Frazier at the plate today. 2 walks, scores a run, steals a base. We have a runner on second, and Reynolds even advances him to third. Actually, a really good piece of hitting by Brian Reynolds that dies at the warning track. And then we can't get him home. Horwitz strikes out, I believe. Gonzalez also strikes out. So then we strain a runner. And then the second inning happens. So what's your takeaway from the second inning where the Brewers were hitting?
Well, I mean, I was a little nervous after the first because Skenes had threw quite a few pitches. He didn't look as sharp, and then he immediately, I think, walks the first batter. And I'm just looking at pitch count. Like we said, we heard that he's on a pitch count, and I'm like, oh my, he's thrown 40 pitches and he's only got 3 outs so far. And I'm like, oh, we're in trouble. And again, if anybody can bear down, if anybody can throw any pitch, at any time and get people out, it's Paul Skenes. But yeah, he was not his normal sharp self. Again, he was throwing a lot of pitches. He was struggling a little with control. When he did throw strikes, they were able to hit them. Not hard or whatever, but they were not outs. The guys got on base. They were, able to advance runners. And then the Pirates, not necessarily errors, but kind of maybe errors in judgment. The way they positioned Kiner Falefa on that could have been a double play if he wasn't so close to the bag. Cruz slides for the ball, doesn't get it. Again, it's always, we're just so close, just so close to being able to make a play or close out an inning or extend an inning or whatever. And we just don't have it done because we don't have very good players. Skenes is, he's a warrior god. He's, handed down from Mount Olympus, but he's going to have a bad day. I remember last year, 2 of our, we're the B team, but 2 of the A team members, it was Tyler and Donardo. We're giving the Rookie of the Year award to Jackson Merrill because Skenes had 2 kind of shaky starts in a row. Shaky for him. Shaky for him is giving up 3 innings. Whatever. Yeah,
but like for me, is like he wasn't good. Like he wasn't all that great today, like for Paul Skenes standards. But man, he did not deserve to give up 4 runs that inning. I mean, like after the walk, Bryce Terrain. Hits a ball that should be cleanly fielded by IKF, but he's sprinting to cover second. He loses his balance. He slips. The ball goes right by him. Now runners on first and second. Then Caleb Durbin singles. Again, it was just a normal single, which was unfortunate. But now the bases are loaded, and then Paul Skenes induces the exact contact you want out of Joey Ortiz. A nice soft ground ball, and it's hit just perfectly enough that he can't get the out at home. They score a run. But like at that point, you're probably thinking like, oh, like this is fine. Like this is something that you can come back from. Paul Skenes can get up play. And then Eric Haas, stupid little dinker fly ball. O'Neal Cruz does not have the best jump on it. He's very close to making the play. He doesn't. 2-0. And then I don't know what the heck Nick Gonzalez is thinking. Trying to go home there. He goes home on Sal Frelick's a fielder's choice. Like, all adding this all up, like, was Skenes good, particularly in that second inning? No, he wasn't. And I think what the Brewers did really well was just making him work for stuff, which I don't think we made Mizzy do. I don't think we made the Brewers work for it.
Don't. Yeah. That's not our jam. We don't make pitchers work hard.
But like
we make it easy on them.
It isn't going to be energy and like coming up for the game. Like the Brewers are up for this. The Brewers were up for the challenge of facing Paul Skenes, and they manufactured their own luck. We were not. We were not ready for it. We were not ready to face this guy. And I think that's the difference between why they got 4 runs on an inning where pretty much only Christian Yelich hits the ball hard.
Right.
Wait, Christian Yelich knocks in the 4th run, and that was a hard hit ball. But leading up to it, Paul Skenes got 3 outs.
Well, you see the difference. You see the difference in the teams. Last night we had 3 straight singles that loaded the bases and, with nobody out, and we couldn't score any runs. right? They don't even really they get a walk, they get a single, they get some, again, lucky, like I said, made their own luck, that sort of, but they capitalize and they get runs, and they get runs off the best pitcher in baseball.
Mhm.
Um, and we let, again, a very good young pitcher, obviously very good.
Yeah.
But I mean, but it could have, we could have, it could have been anybody. We could have brought in, Rick Sutcliffe today, his current age today, and he'd go through, 6 innings and only give up a run. So we don't put pressure on an opposing pitcher and opposing defense. We make it easy for them. We do exactly the opposite of what the Brewers do. You give the Brewers a little inch, and they've got another base. They've got another 90 feet. You give us an extra 90 feet, and we'll say, don't worry, don't worry. The next guy's going to ground out the third, and the next guy after that's going to hit into a double play. We got you, dog.
Yeah.
So it's just the difference. It's, different teams with different energies, different cultures. I mean, I imagine it's hard to be focused and motivated and, giving your all for a team and an organization that, is not trying as hard as you are. Right. And for a long time now, it's like you 6 years of losing, that's a losing culture, and management has to do something to change that. You can't just expect signing Tommy Pham and Adam Frazier is going to change that. You need to bring in, a jolt of talent, and that's not what we do here.
Yeah, and I think I would say, like, opposed onto that, is that outside of the bullpen, I don't think there's really a single player who can say they showed up today and did their jobs,
Right.
like, to the best of their ability. I mean,
Tommy Pham, baby. Tommy
Pham, I guess, is the one
Right.
you can say. Maybe Adam Frazier. I feel bad for Adam played right field, but man, like, no one was impressive. And I will say, you have to give Misiorowski like credit. Like, he was filthy today. Like, he was
terrific.
Like that strikeout on Cruz where he painted 102 in the corner of the zone. Like, that is something where you tip your cap and just say, like, that's a good pitch. Like, he's throwing 89-mile-an-hour curveballs.
Yeah.
Like, he's really, really good performance by him. I still think that we should have gotten at least a couple runs off of him. We had the players in position. But yeah, I would have more grace if this wasn't the standard, if this wasn't what kept happening over and over again, because the Pirates don't score after that second inning. Like, there's no runs until the seventh. The Brewers don't score actually at all after the second inning. Right. The Brewers bats go pretty quiet. Like, Paul Skenes mops up the last 2 innings pretty easily, I'd say. Didn't really do it. And Mike Burrows comes in, looks fantastic, and the whole bullpen really did a really good job today. But
yeah, it just makes it that much more frustrating, right? Yeah, we're seeing Ashcraft pitch well. We're seeing Burrows pitch well. We're seeing Skenes pitch great. We're getting above what we expected from Falter and Heaney, even though I know Heaney's blown up a little the past 2 times. Isaac Matz, and we've got all these great stories on the pitching staff, and all this, and my whole life I've been told pitching and defense wins baseball games. Mm-hmm. Was I lied to? So. I mean, it's just unbelievable how easy we make it for the opposing pitcher. It's just, he can make a mistake. I mean, it must feel great to face this lineup. You could just let it fly. And if you miss a little and you catch too much of the plate, don't you worry. Don't you worry. They're gonna hit it right to a fielder. They're not gonna run it out. They're gonna overrun the base and be thrown out at second. I mean, we are gonna put you in a position to get the out all the time, even when we get hits.
So, I mean, and we kind of touched on the Brewers about how they manufacture runs. Well, the Pirates were 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position today. And I think, you can kind of just see how the Brewers score runs and how we don't score runs, where we should be trying to play the way the Brewers played baseball today, because we don't hit home runs. We're dead last in the league in homers, which, I'm not a fan of. But if that's the way we're going to go, then we need to find a way to be able to do what the Brewers do, because the Brewers, I can't tell you the last time the Pirates got a single run off of like a dinky base hit. It doesn't happen.
No. We string singles together and just load the base. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have guys score from second on a single, on a hit, right? I mean, you're right. This Brewers lineup is no murderer's row. They're not a great hitting team. However, they play the sound fundamental baseball, and they're not all swinging for the fences. again, we have a team. We're last in home runs, but we approach at bats like we're the 27 Yankees. I mean, I've been saying for the entire Charrington regime, this team should be playing small ball, but we don't have guys that can bunt. We have a bunch of guys who can't hit, but yet they can't bunt. So yeah, I mean, I'm saying it's so flawed. It's not just lack of talent. Our bigger problem, and I talk about this. Payroll is not our big problem. It's just not. Even with a better payroll, the way this team is managed, the approach, the analytics that they use, and how they, the way they have us approach at bats, or approach defense, everything is not good. We're subpar in everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, if they spent $25 million, I don't know that they'd get bang for their buck. I have no faith in that. It's a poor fundamental team. The approach seems wrong. The approach based on the roster seems awful. You have a bunch of guys that can't hit home runs, and you have them swinging for the fences, thinking, well, maybe, they'll. No, that's why they hit that one good, but it was caught in front of the warning track. So,
yeah, no, the players aren't good enough. Now they do score twice. O'Neill Cruz reaches on an error, is able to get the second through some hustle. And then Tommy Pham, he gets a second hit of the day. Now his first hit was an infield hit, but I guess he finally got the right contact lenses.
Yeah.
I would say that's something that would only happen to the Pirates, except I guess Pham has had these issues before in the past, and so I'm just like, I'm glad he finally got his contact sorted out by the time the season was already over. But that's nice. He's now hitting 223, and then Spencer Horwitz actually knocks in a run in the eighth. He raises his OPS up to 685. He's hitting 256, so I guess you can kind of say Spencer Horwitz has been pretty solid recently.
He's becoming average. I know that sounds like I'm being facetious, but this team needs at least 4 guys to be average hitters, right?
Mm-hmm.
You probably need 3 that can be above average, 4 that are just average, and then Brian Hayes, who's way below average, but he's playing such good defense, you can deal type thing. But we don't have the 3 that are above average, and we don't have 4 that are average. We've got about 7 that are hitting below average. So consistently.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for any little positive here. I'm still trying, because it's a lot more fun to talk about good stuff than bad stuff.
I forgot. Is that true? Yeah. I can't remember.
But
usually for these games, I'm just going to talk about Paul Skenes.
Yeah.
And
well, I guess one thing we can talk about also is the fact that O'Neill Cruz is in the lineup a lot today. So he gets pulled last night. So I think Don Kelly kind of got the best of both worlds here, where he could pull Cruz in a game where it was already over by the time he pulled him, that he can make his message and then he can put him into the lineup the next day. Were you okay with that, or do you think he should have sat today?
No, I don't. This is one thing that I just say, I have no idea. I don't know O'Neill Cruz. I don't know how he took it. I know he said all the right things after, but that certainly sounded like, a publicist's response to that. But yeah, he seems like he's a proud young man, and maybe just yanking him from yesterday's game was enough. And Donnie Kelly would know that much better than I do. So I don't really have an opinion. I'm not bothered. I wouldn't have been bothered if he sat today. I wasn't bothered that he was playing. I was nice to see him not batting leadoff as poorly he's been hitting lately. But it doesn't matter, because it's not like we have great options. Jim said it earlier in the chat is, we could have a sense of urgency. Doesn't matter. We don't have, it's hard to have a sense of urgency when you don't have any talent. So,
yeah. Wonder who's been saying that for months.
You and Derek Shelton, brother. You and Derek Shelton.
But I think that it's really about what was handled behind the scenes. If Cruz took it well and didn't complain, and Kelly felt like he was good to go, I'm fine with it. I'm also okay. Not even from an effort standpoint, I'm okay with sitting Cruz for a couple of games to just try to get try to get him like get him a rest and like try to get a ride because it has been a brutal month of hitting.
Right. I'm
But
never bothered. Like you could have sat Brian Reynolds for 3 games during his slump for me. Like they're supposed to, I don't have any faith in them, but they're supposed to know this stuff. We can't, this should not be decided by the fan base, by Twitter, Pirates Twitter, by our chat and by us and and beat writers. The team is supposed to, the manager, the coaches, the players, they're all supposed to know what would be the best thing to do in these circumstances. Does he need a rest? Does he need to does he need to be sat down and clear his head, and does he is his attitude really a problem, is his effort, or is it just his frustration? But so it's fine, right? I mean, I think it's fine. We saw Cruz hustle today. I think he's a good kid. I think he's really proud, and he's really frustrated by the slump he's in right now. And so so some of the stuff gets magnified, and for some reason we seem to like Pete Crow Armstrong didn't know how many outs there were the other day, but nobody's mad because he's an MVP candidate, right? It's like, oh, isn't that funny? Pete Crow Armstrong lost track of the outs. So it's perspective and production have a lot of impact on these kind of decisions.
Yeah, and I really just want him to break out of the slump. Like it's he's been one of the very few watchable players this year. And so when he's been bad, it really just like makes all the problems worse because even with Gonzalez and Horwitz and Reynolds all like hitting better, none of them really have that that like excitement factor. And that's
the dynamic one, right?
It's not a criticism. It's not a criticism against any of those guys. I love Reynolds. I think Gonzalez has been good. Like I'm really hoping like he had a bad day today, but he's been good for most of the season. Like, but you're right. Cruz is the dynamic talent. He's the fun guy to watch, and so
watching Cruz run out of triple is more fun than watching Spencer Horwitz run out of triple. It just is. It's more exciting. It's just how it goes. He is that kind of exciting, what's he going to do next kind of guy. And he's struggling. It's hurting his team. It's obviously frustrating him. Hopefully he can snap out of it soon because we definitely need him sort of igniting this lineup and driving in some runs, scoring some runs, stealing bases, hitting all of it. So
so the Pirates drop another game. They are now 18 games under 500.
I don't know. 32 and 50. 32 and 50.
50 losses before
32-50 in the second year of a rebuild. That would be frustrating. In the sixth year of a rebuild, it seems like people shouldn't have jobs, but what do I know? I'm just a cranky old guy lost in the 70s, right?
Yeah, no kidding. 50 losses before June. July is just impressive.
Right.
Like, genuinely impressive that we're at this point.
Yeah. You have to try hard to do that, right? that doesn't happen by accident. That takes maximum effort.
Yeah. Well, I think we got our time all done. And I think we have anything more to say about the game because I think I'm done.
No, I mean, again, Michael Burrows. It was nice to see Michael Burrows.
Yeah.
So for all of it, the whole bullpen was good. So, right. Rough, ugly game, boring game. We're off tomorrow, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Oh man, hallelujah!
We get a home series versus the Mets, who
are struggling.
The Mets are 1-10 in their last 11 games.
I get the feeling they're about to get right. So, I mean, they're going to play the Pirates and not face Paul Skenes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think one last thing is like I'll say is like it was just a whole culmination of the day where the Pirates are losing, Paul Skenes didn't pitch well, we're not scoring any runs, and then two separate news stories broke that the Cubs are interested in Keller and Bednar, and conversations have taken place, and I think that was just like what really set me over the edge. I'm like, I cannot watch these guys play in Cub uniforms on top of all that's going on. Like, I can't do this. So.
I have no problem if they trade either or both player. You can't send him to the Cubs. You can't send him to the Cardinals. You can't send him to the Brewers. You can't send him to the Reds. There's some other teams out of it, but you cannot send him anywhere in the division. And if it's in Cub. If it's in that Cub blue, I lived in Chicago 5 years and I have a bunch of diehard Cub fans. And every time we have a player have two good games in a row, they call me and say, much longer before we get him from you? And this will just
They're still living off the Aramis Ramirez trade, and I think that trade alone should mean that we should never trade with the Cubs ever again.
Right. We should be owed. Like there should be 3 players to be named later coming back our way for Bobby Hill. Bobby Hill.
Dana Bobby. Well,
and it wasn't just Aramis Ramirez. We put Kenny Lofton in that trade too, who was having a terrific season.
Oh, I forgot that was Kenny Lofton too.
Yeah.
Well, before we start talking about the
and that team was better than this team. Let's just say that team was better than this team.
Before we start just talking about the horrors of the early 2000s, we're gonna get out of here. I think.
Yeah.
Enjoy the day off, everyone. For the day off for Pirates baseball. Stay cool out there.
NSN9 coming up. NS9 live tomorrow night, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The A-team be here in full force.
Mm-hmm.
Come out, support, listen, vent, express your emotional, needs, we're here. We're your therapy animals, your service pets here. So yeah. Thanks for joining us for an afternoon game that was just awful. And we'll see you Thursday night for NS9 and Friday after the Mets game.
Jim Callis.
Oh, that's right. It's draft time and Jim Callis. We've got not only do we have the A-team, we've got an actual honest to goodness expert in his field. So that's exciting.
That'll be awesome.
It's always one of the best shows of the year.
Yeah,
and that's saying something because we have a lot of great shows.
It's no Neil and Doug go to the movies, but it will be.
Yeah. Nobody talking about Midnight Run here, but they can't all be 10s,
No.
As David Spade said in Grown Ups, right? They can't be all be 10s, buddy.
Well, I'm Neil. This is Doug, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We'll talk to you later. See you later.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.